We have heard many times that everything is in your mind. All the plans you fall victim to during your life are derived from the genes inside your brain. You may have a question. What does it mean? Genes are made up of units, which are created to fulfill a purpose. Genes are not fixed, and they regulate items. Genes have an interesting principle. They can be deleted, rewritten, and even introduced as completely new genes. Genes respond to external stimuli. These stimuli depend on the response of the subject's perception, consciousness, frequency, and awareness. To understand this sentence in the studies of Dr. Bruce Lipton cited, let's take an example to simplify the issue. In the 1990s, an experiment was conducted in the United States of America that was not available to the public. The experiment involved a group of elderly people over 80 years old settling in a city that had a structure from the 1950s. This lifestyle in that urban structure included food, clothing, vehicles, music, radio programs, and so on. Over a week, their illnesses improved, and after 3 weeks, they were no longer using crutches and had more energy. The most interesting thing is that after 6 months, their body parts became 10 years younger. So why did this happen? It's because these people mentally went to the 1950s, and their genes were adapted to the perception of external stimuli. The current scientific definition of a gene indeed differs from its original definition. After conducting years of research, Bruce concluded that human biology is not controlled by DNA or heredity, but rather by our beliefs. Let's go to information beyond what Bruce said. But genetics is actually how your entire body is made. Genes are created as a change from what you live in. Genes are the result of your energy patterns, your focus, your purpose, your awareness, and your frequency. Throughout history, there have been attempts by regressive species to alter human genetics, and these attempts continue even today. However, since human genes are not fixed or certain, and since humans have a connection with their higher selves, the genes can be rewritten in their original form. Over the last few decades, genome modification has caused negative effects. Therefore, it is crucial to distance oneself from low frequencies. By connecting with your higher self, you can establish a wonderful connection with the outside world. If more people become aware of this issue, there will be a way to address it, which may involve a riot. The important question now is how to communicate with the external world. As human beings, we possess eternal knowledge in nature and are telepathic. However, due to teachings, we tend to ignore and reject our inner selves. These negative waves are woven not only into our thoughts, but also into our food, which is completely engineered. Fluoride. Fluoride in many foods will block your pineal gland. What is the job of this pineal gland? Decoding messages and receiving from the outside world. Let's be honest, even our environment is a filter. Remember those old people. Many times in our loneliness, we feel that someone is saying something, but when we look around, we don't find anyone. What is the reason? You don't listen to this sound, but you hear it with your mind.h. Some call this telepathy, some medium, some channeling. Let me tell you the correct definition of these words. In being channeled, you will be possessed, and he will speak for you, and the person will not remember anything. In telepathy, you receive and send messages. Telepathy is a universal human experience that many people may have experienced, but how many % of you take it seriously? Most people get it after doing meditation or muhurta and relaxing and listening well. Great historical figures such as Leonardo da Vinci, Edison, and Tesla believed that the best time to work was at night due to the connection with the star. During training, people were taught that hearing voices during this time was a bad sign, as they were believed to be demonic or from the spirit world. People were advised to avoid these voices as soon as they experienced them. What was the purpose of this training? This training aimed to instill fear in people. Fear is a potent weapon that can be used to keep people away from reality. It can also lower a person's frequency level. In the real world, you are not a human. Only in this three-dimensional world do you take this form. The real world is only a hair's breadth away from you. Pay attention to this sentence. They asked him if there was another person and another world. He replied, right now there are other people and creatures that you can't see, but why? Because the world is not limited to this third dimension H. But according to the training we have seen, we only understand this 3D hologram. Have you ever heard of the Van Allen belt? According to current scientific knowledge, it is an extremely strong magnetic field that surrounds the Earth. The main function of this belt is to protect us from radiation in space by trapping charged particles which prevent them from leaving the planet. The only way out of this three-dimensional matrix is to have technology that changes this frequency. This is why we say that you have to evolve to get out of the matrix. So the reason for spreading negative thoughts, war, etc., is from their plans, because with this, people will be at the lowest level of energy and lack of hearing, and they will have permanent slaves. You must have realized by now that by higher dimensions, we are not talking about geometry and numbers. In fact, in simple terms, it is a total potential energy of a very low or very high frequency, and the third dimension, which is us, is something between these two levels. What an interesting world it is with its specific frequency. Currently, we are on frequency 3 to 4. If we raise our frequency a bit above level 4, we may see new phenomena such as flying saucers, interdimensional animals, and spiritual forms. The Pleiad star cluster, also known as Mazar 45, has a star in its center named Talgate. A planet called Era orbits around this star. A woman born in Poland in 2013 telepathically spoke to a group of Era residents and gave her information about Earth and humans. They introduced themselves as Swaro. One of the information they gave him was Alan's belt and the 3D wall of fire. The Svaros have claimed that they carved the Earth's digital matrix and entered our world through virtual reality technology. But why did this matter attract my attention? Here we need to delve into the story of Mitra's son. At the time of leaving the Earth, Mitra says, as you meditate, we connect to become one through the realm of shared spirit. Know that there is no limit to the speed of thought and understand the ways of love to move forward. Think well about bounty and limitless thoughts and work your way through brave challenges to join our world. Did these sentences catch your attention? Where it says that we communicate to become one from the common spirit realm, it literally refers to telepathy and channeling. And in the next sentence, the key to exit is to love. I would like to draw your attention to some important information. There is a constellation called Pleiades, also known as the Seven Sisters. Additionally, if you examine the picture of the Temple of Mitra, you will find that Mitra is expected to come to Earth through the constellation Capricorn on December 22nd. Exactly at this time in ancient Iran is the celebration of the birth of light, Mitra's birthday, or Yalda night. In the picture, you can see that Mithra is sitting on a bull, which is the symbol of the constellation Taurus. In his cloak, the picture of 7 stars is visible. But the surprise does not end here. Almost December 22nd is the birthday of another important person. Jesus of Nazareth is right, but why is it important? Because in the Bible of Amos _58, we read that, look for someone who has mumps and 7 sisters. But who was Amos? Amos was an ordinary shepherd who heard God's voice and promised the coming of Christ. You hear that voice with awareness, which means becoming a channel. The question that arises is, was that voice from God or the outside world? Pleiad Zor, the 7 sisters, was first discovered by Galileo in 1610, but Amos knew about the existence of the 7 sisters thousands of years earlier. Pay attention here. Christ appears to John the Apostle and says, Write down everything you see and take it to the 7 churches that I am talking about: Pergamos, Theater, Sardas, Philadelphia, Smyrna, Ephesus, Laodicea. What we just said is in Revelation 1:1. The number 1 is a symbol of unity. Another interesting point is that the geographical location of these churches is the same as the location of the 7 sisters' stars. Certainly, all these similarities are not accidental. You can see 2 numbers 3 in the picture, and if we put these 2 numbers 3 together, we will have the age of Jesus of Nazareth's exit from the Matrix. Finally, to become telepathic, you must first be able to communicate with your higher self so that your genome can rewrite itself to its original configuration. For a beginner, receiving a telepathic message requires a lot of concentration, so try to be calm first and then concentrate. Wear comfortable clothes. Play 417 Haze A Sulfate music for 10-15 minutes with closed eyes. The end of the music should be such that you don't disturb your peace by cutting off the sound. After that, do 10-15 minutes of mind meditation, then stay in that state and listen. The best time to do it is during Brahmahurta. Time interval 1:36 minutes before sunrise to 48 minutes after sunrise,